Yes, I'm just gonna have my little photo up, so I don't care.
Okay, we're
Okay,
good.
good, good, good. Well, welcome. This morning is the Sunday after Christmas, December 27th, 2020. And we are talking about, of all things, to this incredible year, magic and mystery. How to live your life with magic and mystery. So I wanted to start with a
Yeah,
reading,
let's do that.
an Ernest Holmes reading for today from 365, which I thought was perfect. Um, it's the title is I bless everything and know that all good will multiply in my experience. And he starts with a quote from James chapter 1, verse 25. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he or she, not being a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this person shall be blessed in their deed. So he who looketh to the perfect law of liberty. So James tells us that we should look to the perfect law of liberty, follow its precepts, and then we shall be blessed in our deeds. This means to keep the eye single or centered on the presence, the power, and the responsiveness of spirit. The law of God would have to be a law of liberty, since bondage could not come from freedom any more than death could be born of the principle of life. We often wonder why we are so limited and too frequently project the blame for our limitations upon the universe itself. This is a psychological trick that we play in ignorance of the true facts. Limitation is not imposed upon us by the universe, but through our own ignorance. Every discovery in science tends to prove this. The invisible takes temporary form in our experience. Fortunately, none of these forms is permanent. We should look upon them as the play of life upon itself. In our own experience, we are privileged by the creative wisdom to become creators in our own personal affairs. The divine creative spirit embraces every possible action. No greater freedom could be found or given, and we should daily open our consciousness to the divine influx, expecting greater wisdom, more infinite guidance, and more complete self expression. So say with me to yourself as I would say this affirmation. Today,
Today,
I lift up my
I
consciousness
lift up my consciousness
and receive
and receive
a more abundant
a
expression.
more abundant expression.
I bless everything
I bless everything
and know that all good
and know that all good
will multiply
will
in my
multiply in
experience.
my experience.
I expect the good.
I expect the good.
I live in a state of joyous anticipation
I live in a state of joyous anticipation
as well as
as well
quiet realization.
as quiet realization.
I expect the all good
I expect the all good
to manifest in my
to
experience
manifest in my experience
today.
today and
And so
tomorrow
it is.
and every day.
And that's how you live a magical and mysterious life. To always be expecting the good and not knowing where it's coming from, and just live as that is your truth, and you will experience magical, mysterious, fun, wonderful things in your life.
You know, when you want to go a great distance from home, or actually any distance from home, you type in, if you have a GPS as we do, you type in the address and everything that you want. But what you get on the screen is probably a mile or so of travel ahead of you. You don't get to see the destination. You have to believe in the destination. You have to know the destination is out there. And so what happens is, and every now and then you get nervous and you scroll ahead to see where you're supposed to go. And scrolling ahead is awkward and difficult because it takes you away from where you are. And what you really have to do with the GPS is know that once you've typed in the address, that what you're seeing is what's necessary for you to get to your destination, but you can't see your destination. And we live in a world where it's important for us often to see an outcome even before we get to it. It's we so value having success at what we do that we often will compromise the adventure just to hold the idea of this is where I'm supposed to end up. This is what we're going to do when we get to this is how it's going to be. And so this wonderful adventure into the present moment often means, or it doesn't often, it always means we have to trust in the journey. We have to trust the destination will be there. That if you're going to California, by the time you get to California, it'll be there. You can't see it. You don't have any way of knowing that it's there, but you believe it.
Yeah, this morning when we woke up and were meditating and talking about this topic, we were reminiscing about all the times we stepped out on faith, just with the sheer confidence that things would work out.
And we took a not so able Sable station wagon. We call it not so able stable. It was a Ford Mercury not so able car that had transmission trouble. So we decided that it'd be a good idea to take that car across country and up into Canada, up to Banff and all over with everything we practically
The
could,
Rocky Mountains.
in the Rocky Mountains with a transmission problem. And
We didn't know we had a
no,
transmission
no, that
problem
was a
at the time.
discovery that we, the magic of discovery. And so we got to Utah, I guess it was in Utah,
And
where,
that was on the way back.
right, and the transmission gave again, second time on the same journey. And there we
The
are.
first time was in the Canadian Rockies.
Yes, free and again, yeah, going down hills, smelling the brakes. But we're in Utah, and it's a beautiful day, and we're driving along, and all of a sudden the car dies. It's not going to run anymore. And so we get out and look out, and there's this wonderful, beautiful field. I mean, it was what I think Rumi was writing about when he talks
The
about
meadow
I'll
of
meet you in the field.
wildflowers and a brook running through
Oh,
it.
it was beautiful, and it was enchanted, and there was nothing anywhere around, like not even help. And and
And it was before cell phones.
yes, and so we're standing by the car, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, which seemed like the most beautiful place to be on the planet. And this pickup truck stops with a young man and his baby in the back seat, and gives Judith a ride to a cell phone or to a phone where
A
she can,
gas station with
yeah,
a phone.
so we can call AAA to have us towed. And it was,
And then he takes me back.
yes,
Takes me back.
and untouched and unbothered and unannoyed. And we then got our car towed, and it was a magical day.
It was like a weekend, a Sunday or
Yeah,
something, and
yeah.
they couldn't work on it that day. But right nearby there was a restaurant and a motel, and it was working the next day, I believe.
Yeah, so we had this wonderful, but again, you type in the destination in mind, and that also means you signed up for everything that's going to move in favor of you and everything that you believe is not moving in favor of you. And you don't realize you're signing up for that, but the truth is, it's your journey. You signed up for it. And we're the ones who decided to take the not so able Sable station wagon on this long journey. So we discovered all of the reasons why it wasn't able. And at the same time, we discovered that in spite of all of that, we could still complete our journey.
And we had a wonderful time. We camped out in lots of parks, including along the coast in Northern California and Oregon. It was just really a magical uh, several month journey. That was just it was a fond memory to look back on.
So the point of this is when the car stalled and died, it took me immediately back to the movie. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Uh,
You have to give me a clue.
oh, Shakespeare in Love.
Oh,
The
okay.
movie Shakespeare in Love. And the movie, if you haven't seen Shakespeare in Love, it's a movie you need to see at least once. And in the movie, the producer of the plays has to produce the court jester, the court lawyers or whoever they are, policemen, grab the producer and hold him up by the neck against the wall and say,
Because he owes him money.
yeah, you owe some money. You're going to have to produce this play by Saturday, or everything is done and you're going to go to jail forever. And he said, it's going to happen. And he said, how? And he says, this is the famous phrase that I want you to remember to use anytime you ever need to. It's going to happen. How? It's a mystery. And at that point, of course, he drops him and says, I give up. I don't know what the heck to do with you if it's a mystery. But there is so much mystery if we're willing to say yes to the mystery. If we're willing to say yes to the mystery, we can say yes to the magic.
And if any of you have ever been in plays, especially musicals, you feel that way right up to the point of performance. It's just, this will be a miracle for this to come off the way it should, because everybody is just not doing their part.
We've had Sundays like that.
Yes. And somehow performance day, it all comes together. And much of our life is like that too, especially when you expect the good. It doesn't mean you have everything you want every moment, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be thinking about and creating what's next. What do I want to experience next? And believe that it can happen. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know who. You don't have to know even when. We always say now, but it comes when it comes.
If you could believe that you're not working alone, that you're working with a group of dear friends who have nothing but your best interest in mind and heart, who are constantly looking out for you, that want to guide and help you, but they're leaving you in charge because it's your life.
Right.
And imagine then when you say, I want this, or I need this, or I require this, or this is what I'm going to do, that this entire cadre of friends is saying, okay, we can help you with that. We'd be glad to. And that you have summed that up as the universe is in favor of me and in favor of my good. It's even in favor of the mistakes that I make that later I will call lessons, that sometime much later I will call magical moments. And so, but that's a shift away from, oh my God, I've got to make this decision. Oh, I hope it's the right one. What if it doesn't work? What am I going to do? Like, I'm all alone in this. And
Or what does it mean if I make a mistake?
oh yeah,
It means I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I should have known better.
I've heard that before. It's generally a self-talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the heck
Yeah,
is,
what does it
I don't
mean?
even say heck sometimes. I say, what the hell is wrong with you? What were you thinking? Don't you know any better than that? But you've never done that before. Yeah, I know, but you should know. How should you know? I don't know, by magic, I guess. We seem to have a lot of magic included in make wrong, but we don't have allow for very much magic in make right, or allow for the very best or the highest, or to assume that whatever's happening is part of the process. As a psychotherapist in training, I will never forget the numbers of times I got told by my mentors, trust the process.
Mm.
And I said, but why can't we figure it out? And the answer is no, we can't figure it out. The conclusion that you want to draw is always ahead of you. It's always on the next page.
Mm.
And so since the conclusion that you're looking for is on the next page, try not reading that page until you get to it.
Well, I think our first experience getting married really sets up our whole life. And we got married 3 months after we met, and we got married I think a week after we
I wasn't gonna
decided
let
to.
this one get away.
And but we were just leaving everything behind. We got rid of or put everything we had. We didn't even put anything in storage, did
No,
we?
put everything in
We
a large
put
trailer
everything
that
in a large
a large
trailer.
trailer that I bought rather than rent, because I was smart enough to know that when we got to Idaho, which is where we were going, everything we owned would be in the trailer and we wouldn't have to rent space.
Lord, yes.
Yeah, it was clever on my
Very
part, the genius
clever.
of the moment. And Judith said, but this trailer looks rather shabby and rather
Oh,
shaky. And I said, no, trust me. This is a new relationship, but the trailer is fine. And so it was
it's
what
tandem something. It had tandem something that you said was so good.
tandem wheels in the back,
Wheels.
so
Oh,
it
yeah.
could manage the weight.
Mm.
It was a U-Haul trailer that had been retired. I didn't pay much attention to the retired part of it because I knew that I was doing the right thing. And so it was hurricane
Yes, Floyd. We left in October
on the
11th, I think.
day of the hurricane,
And we were leaving Florida, and it was pouring buckets, just buckets. Everything was flooded except I-95,
which we were on.
which we were on.
And suddenly I noticed a wheel passing me on fire. And I thought, this is amazing. I've never seen a wheel in the middle of a rainstorm and a hurricane pass me on fire. And I looked in my mirror to see what else might be coming. And I saw that the back axle was also on fire. And it was the axle to the
Sparks flying,
trailer.
actually.
It was the axle to the trailer that I had purchased, knowing that it was a really good choice that I'd made.
Mm.
And I pulled over at that point, and we were now stranded in the middle of a hurricane minus a wheel that had passed us. And I had to get out of the car in the middle of the worst rain I've ever seen. We didn't have a cell phone, and walk to the exit to get to a phone to call for help.
Yes, and flooded water. And the one thing we did keep is a lot of his art. So we also found that this wonderful trailer also leaked from the top. So a lot of his art and my clothes were getting destroyed. And I was sitting there, and my father was a person who knew everything about vehicles and cars, and could fix anything and did all the time, even could take a wrecked car and make it perfect. And so I just had this idea that men know about these things. Men know about cars and trailers, and you just have to trust them. So when this happened, what welled up that I wanted to say, the infamous, I told you so. But I didn't because I was reading a spiritual book at the time, and but I did confront him on it, and his answer to me was something I'd also never heard from a man, which was, well, one thing you can count on is I do make mistakes. And I thought, wow, how disarming. How special. He admits he makes mistakes. I,
It's
I
the
guess
last.
I,
It's the last
I
one.
can't jump on that anymore. And so then as he was traipsing off in the rain to find help, I realized got this vision that we were driving all the way across from the tip of Florida up to the northwest, the very top of Idaho, and that we were going to be crossing the Rocky Mountains and all of that, and with a dangerous, it could be very dangerous with a hauling with a truck hauling a U-Haul that was not in good shape. And then it was actually a blessing for it to happen to us there on flat land, although wet, than it would have been had it happened in the Rockies. And so suddenly I could be grateful instead of critical. And I just trusted that everything was going to work out. It was going to work out,
But you see, that's a
and it did.
this is a perfect metaphor though of what we're talking about.
Yeah,
How many times have you been on a journey and something's happened and it's quote ruined your journey, as opposed to have just having been an event on your journey that you could say, huh,
right.
I don't know what this means. I don't know what the outcome. We often hold grudges around things that have been done, quote, to us that are no longer being done. They haven't been done for years, but we still hold the grudge, as opposed to that was then, this is now. What can I do now? How can I forward my vision, my dream and my vision? What we had to do was get the car or the trailer. We had to rent another trailer, get rid of that trailer, unload everything, which was not what we had planned to do. And the difference was we got a smaller trailer that we didn't know was the size we should have had to tow across the
Across the
Rockies.
Rockies, yeah.
So, if you will, divine mind, spirit was working in favor of us at a time when I would have said, you got to be kidding. How many times has spirit worked for you and you've said, you got to be kidding?
And at the time, we were both psychotherapists, and we had lined up jobs in Coeur d'Alene. My sister had moved up to Coeur d'Alene, and we were leaving Florida and all the materialism, and we were going to go to more God country and live in nature. And so we got up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and it was the jobs we had lined up didn't pan out. They wanted to pay
Yeah,
Bob in stock
yeah.
for a new outfit, and mine fell through. And we looked at each other and go, "Well, isn't this interesting?"
Here we are with nearly no money, with
Gave up
no
everything.
jobs. Have you ever been in a situation where you've had, you've gotten to the end of the road and you've got nothing and you're sure that this really is this as bad as it's going to get? And what happened then is my former employer called me and said, we'd like to hire you as a program director. Would you be willing to come back
To Florida.
to Florida? And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this. But I had just been offered another possible job that looked really good. So I said, I'm not so sure. You need to pay us our moving expenses. And they said, we're going to pay you twice what we would normally pay anybody, plus moving expenses. We'll get back to you. And I felt really good about
And you said,
it.
"And I want you to hire my
My
wife."
wife as the lead counselor for the program. I hung up the phone feeling I got this one on hold, possibly, and if it doesn't work out, I'm good because I got another job. Went to the other job and it fell through. And then I began to think, as you often do when you make a decision that isn't as much in favor of as you think it is, oh my God, what if she doesn't call back? They called back, they met all of my requirements. We came back to Florida, had a job I never could have gotten had I stayed here.
Yeah, we both got promotions and much more income than we would have had had
Hmm.
we stayed in Fort Lauderdale. We went to St. Pete and opened a unit there in a hospital. And so, this is you couldn't have planned this. We could not have had that as a goal and had it work out. It was totally mystery
Yeah.
and magic. And those are words that in our teaching, in this teaching of the science of mind, our founder Ernest Holmes did not like to use. He did not use the word miracle or magic, and the reason is that he used the word demonstration, because he said when you use the law, when you state your word of want what you want to experience next and expect the universe to deliver it, it manifests. And that's called a demonstration. There's nothing magic about it, there's nothing mysterious about it. It is the law of the universe, the law of mind operating. And that is what we teach. But I must say, when it happens to you, it feels like magic. It
I think
feels
I, I think magic really as a word is really poetic license to something much deeper. We say magic, and there's wonder in magic, and there's surprise in magic. But the truth is, behind all of that, there are things happening that are very much a part of the things that have to happen for things to come true. There's a law and order, whether you know it or not, whether you can see it or not. There's no sleight of hand in the universe. It just appears to be. But I think why this story to me is so relevant is because we live this story, and each of us has had to live this story 1,000 times. Every one of us has gone out on a journey only to find out that on day one things broke, that things fell through, that the relationship isn't going to happen, that things are not going to be where
the
and,
job's not
yeah,
going to be there.
and our darkest days are often our greatest teacher. And they're not the darkest days. They're the darkest days because we really believe in the dark at that point, because the darkness is all we can see.
It's all around us.
But if you were to be in the midst of your darkest day, and somebody said, and you understand that tomorrow is going to be a great day. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, you see, because I was playing with, massaging, experiencing, delving into the darkness, wondering when it was going to get light.
Mhm.
And what we have to be willing to do is to say, this too will pass. This is simply a day in the process.
Like this year.
It's been a long day in the process.
Like this year.
Yeah.
But I must say that I really do believe that our people who use this teaching, this science of mind way of living, a unity faith, they really are getting through this very, very comfortably, because we all know that this too shall pass. We all know that something good is happening. We all know that we're provided for and taken care of, even if we die and make our transition. And so you just continually expect the positive and the good. And you're okay being with yourself or being alone or being on Zoom with people, because you know that you're never alone. You really have God or spirit or Jesus or whatever you believe in, as a comforter. As a comforter, Jesus said, "I will send you a comforter," and that's largely interpreted as the Holy Spirit. But we have a comforter available to us in spirit, and it's there to help us and guide us and comfort us and call on it. By all means, call on it when you're in need. There's always love and help available to us, always, no matter what the circumstance.
And the fact that you can't necessarily see it at any particular point does not mean it's not there. When you walk away from the refrigerator during this season, everything that's in the refrigerator is still there, even when you're sitting someplace else, and you go back and open up the refrigerator and there everything is that you wanted. Imagine that within that refrigerator are all of the dreams being kept perfectly for you. All you have to do is open it up and say, this is the time to take this one out and open it up. And it is. We have a universe that is full, literally full of our good. And we not only don't see it, we often discard it as if it's a nothing.
Mhm. And I love Ernest Holmes' statement about science. You have to remember this had to have been written by 1950 anyway. And he says that science is always proving this principle to us, that the unseen is might be very small, but it is building something and out picturing your life. And we know that with quantum physics today, that invisible energy, your thoughts, if your thoughts can be measured electrically by electroencephalogram, it is electrical energy. And we know electrical energy is a thing. It is something that can be measured. And so those thoughts, those feelings are a vibration going out into the universe. We're not really this solid body. We're an energy body. And the thoughts and the feelings are going out and telling the universe what it is you are thinking about, because you're going to be creating, inform whatever you think about. And how much you think about it and how intensely you desire it is what causes it to be created in your life. So that's why it's so important to expect magic and miracles.
It's a slight shift, but what amazes me is there's an invisible disease that has been killing people. It's invisible. We've had 4 to 7, I think, corporations right now working to find an invisible cure for the invisible disease. And they have made visible the disease, reconstructed it, deconstructed it, interjected into it, and come up with a vaccine that has an invisible cure. I mean, so what's amazing to me is we have corporations working in the invisible, and we're sure there's no such thing. That is so often we don't believe it. But all we really needed was a high-powered microscope and a whole lot of technology and a lot more thinking than most of us have ever done. So maybe what we need to do is to have a spiritual microscope and imagine that what we're looking at is a universe full of good rather than empty space. And the reason that we have a vaccine that's now going to be available is because there are people who've said that which is invisible is not necessarily invisible. And there is a way to see the invisible if we were determined enough, and that's science at its best. So I think if we can create out of the invisible something that actually helps and cures people, and it all happened as a result of mind, why shouldn't we trust mind to do us the favors that we're asking for?
Exactly. And so our time is up.
Yeah, we're running out of time, and what I do want to mention to us is that to you is that we are the Center for Spiritual Living at the Palm Beaches. Although we're not on the Palm Beaches right now, we're on Zoom. And we would lovingly accept any offering that you would give to us. And you can go to our site. You want to tell us about the site?
I would. We usually have a visual for this. Here it is,
And we do.
CSL Palm Beaches. Have to get it in the right place. And virtual reality. There
we
you
go.
go. It's been a while. We've been away from home.
It has to be in front of us.
So now that looks backwards. What I'm looking,
Yeah.
is it backwards? There we go.
There we
That
go.
is our website. And the website has a button that says ways to donate. And so it tells you ways to donate if you'd like to support this ministry in our center. So let's close with a close.
Well, we'd like to do an affirmation of your wealth and health as well. So maybe we could create an appreciation.
Watch yourself. You're
Yes.
disappearing.
Yeah. So what I know for you this day is that all that you require is easily present for you. All that you require and desire and wealth and abundance in every area of your life is coming to you, has come to you, and is yours to play with and enjoy. That your ability to create in time and motion and in life exists in a profound and powerful and wonderful way, far greater than you've ever imagined. But you know that it is true, and it is true right here and right now. You are abundant in every area of your life, in all areas of your life, health, wealth, and relationship, especially clearly, wonderfully, and perfectly. And I know this to be so, and so it is.
And so it is.
And we are going to go into